Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here on another episode of the Consistency Corner podcast. I'm super excited to have Hattie Dunstan here today. And we are going to be chatting about how AI can help you getting back to doing more of the things that you love and speeding up your marketing, which I know as a busy business owner, when you're wearing a lot of hats, that might not be a hat that you like to put on. So if we can find ways to do it easier, faster, more efficiently, we are all for that. And Hattie is a Facebook ad strategist who actually has an obsession with using AI for making marketing easier. And she does a really great job of sharing tips and strategies on how to do that. So I'm really excited to have her here today. And she's actually been in business since she was 15 years old, which crazy the amount of experience she has, but she gets it. She understands what being an entrepreneur is. And so I know you've got kind of a magical and quirky story. So welcome, Hattie, to the show. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more of your background and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks so much for having me. I do love sharing everything about AI. I think it's just gonna change life as an entrepreneur right now. And I am so grateful for the era that we're living in. It's really exciting. How I got started was I was 15 and my dad told me I needed to get a summer job, and he saw the government was giving away money if you wrote a business plan. And I just kind of got started, fell in love with the marketing side. I started selling jewelry at markets. I fell in love with the marketing side. I went to university for marketing, and I landed on, I'm a Facebook and Instagram paid ad strategist. And so I kind of landed there because it uses the creative side. I'm very creative. And it uses the analytical side. I love math and digging around and looking, analyzing. And so paid ads really combines those two. And that's how I ended up doing that. But how I ended up kind of falling in love with AI is last Christmas, I caught RSV from one of my nephews and I landed in the hospital. I was on IV antibiotics for 2 weeks. And I'm the primary income earner for my family. And I was like, how am I going to keep going? It took me 3 months to recover from that. I got pneumonia. Like, it was terrible. And it was right around when ChatGPT came out. And I was just like, oh, I think that AI can help me stay afloat during this hard time. So then I just slowly started playing more and more, like probably a ridiculous amount, like embarrassing amount of time spent on AI tools. And that's just how I started playing around with AI.
Yeah, awesome. I know we're going to get into AI and all the things that it can do and how ChatGPT can support you, but being that you are a Facebook ad strategist and that's some of kind of your background, and I know you have a tool for this, I'd love to hear your take on when a business owner is ready for ads, because I think that's an area that there's a lot of different opinions on, and I'd love to get your take before we dive into the AI tools.
I love that question, Ruthie. A lot of people, I'd say 75% of my phone calls, I get on the phone with an entrepreneur or a business owner, and I'm just like, oh, you're too green or you don't have your back end set up. And so I always look at their conversion rate for either their sales page or their shop. And if it's below a 2% conversion rate, they're just going to be throwing money away on ads. So number one, we always look at their conversion rate. And if it's not above 2%, um, I'll direct them to someone like you or someone else, a website designer, someone that's going to help them they need an existing marketing ecosystem that already works, and ads can help amplify it. So they need a sales funnel, they need the email setup, the automations, they need a sales team in process, and really they need that conversion rate to be at least 2%. Because if we're driving traffic all day long, but their website isn't converting or their online shop isn't converting, it's a waste of their money. So before you run ads, there's a lot of back end set up.
Yeah. And that 2% conversion rate, I'm curious, is that pretty standard to product-based businesses, or are you talking about service-based businesses as well for like opt-in forms?
Um, Both. So opt-in forms, if it's free, we want it to be at least 40%. And if it's anything paid, like a sales page or a shop, we want it to be 2%. And most of our clients that we actually work with on a regular basis are at least 4%. So
Hmm.
for every 100 people that we're driving to that website, they're making 4 sales off of it.
Yeah.
So otherwise, if you're only at a 0.75, you're you're barely making 1 sale off of every 100 people you're driving. So
Right.
it's really
Because what
important that.
ads do is they drive traffic, and you don't have a traffic problem, you have a conversion problem. So we got to fix that one first.
Yes. And so many people think that ads will fix their low sales. And I'm like, no, no, ads just amplify an already great marketing ecosystem that's working to get more eyeballs on a system that's already working. Like I always
Yes.
think there's kind of three marketing pillars. There's organic, there's social, there's partnerships, and work on those two first because they're more or less kind of free, and then bring in the paid when those two are running like a well-oiled machine, and then bring in paid to help support these other two pillars.
Yes. Oh
That's
my
what I
gosh.
always
Yes. I love that.
suggest.
That's such great advice. So, okay, let's get into the nitty gritty about AI tools and what they can do, because I think a lot of people get overwhelmed and like, oh my God, this is a whole nother tool and platform and system or software that I have to learn. Like, where do I even start?
I love that because that is the number one question I get. And I always suggest just start with ChatGPT. There are so, especially we get bombarded, especially me. I'm Googling AI, I'm in courses of AI. We get so many ads saying, hey, this new AI program, this new AI program. And just start with the basics, just start with ChatGPT and find almost a community. There's lots of communities out there. I always think that courses are kind of, there's a lot of gurus selling AI courses, but by the time that guru recorded that course, put it out into the world, like it's already outdated.
Hmm.
So join some sort of community, a Facebook group, a paid community that's looking for AI that you can learn about the prompts they're using. It's really about what prompts you put in. So people sometimes will be like, oh, ChatGPT doesn't work. But really, it's maybe they need a Ruthie in their back pocket that can explain the marketing terms to them that they can then implement into ChatGPT. So anyways, start with ChatGPT, start playing around with it, and maybe even get a prompt book where it's listing prompts that you can copy and paste. There's a lot of them out there. I have one. I even keep my prompt book open on my computer and I copy and paste into ChatGPT to save me time for if I want to do a TikTok uh, video script, if I want to do a carousel ad, I can just quickly copy and paste the prompts instead of writing them every single time. But really, you still need that foundation to know those marketing terms, to know, well, what's the top of the funnel for my sales funnel? To ask ChatGPT, what should your top of funnel be, or what should your lead magnet be? You still need to have that marketing foundation. Um, so it can't replace everything, but I like to think of it as an assistant. So if you kind of know, hey, I need to make a lead magnet today, you know the terminology, you kind of know, you can bounce ideas. And I use ChatGPT as my personal digital assistant and my personal assistant. In my business, it's my virtual assistant, it's my marketing assistant. Sometimes it's my CEO. I'll give it a direction and say, hey, you are my CEO for today. Here's my business. Here's my target audience. What should I be working on, or whatever this quarter. So it's a pretty powerful tool, but it is about laying that foundation, that marketing. I use it for marketing, but whatever you're going to use it for, knowing the foundations first so that you can prompt
Yeah. And,
properly.
and I think with the understanding that you've got to know the foundations, you've got to know the inputs to give it, and know that you still have some editing to do on the other side, because
Yes.
you're a human. There's nuance and there's different things
Cadence
that, like,
and yeah,
right,
yeah,
that maybe it's not going to understand. So you can't just copy paste what it gives you and be like, whoop, I'm done. You got to edit.
yes. And ChatGPT is not that funny. I've tried. So if your Instagram post, if you like to be a little funny, you're going to have to edit it yourself. And if you want to copyright anything, you cannot copyright any AI. So if you're even using Midjourney for images, I use Midjourney a lot of the time because there's not really any good robot or robot marketing images. So for presentations, I will often use Midjourney, but you can't copyright AI. So you have to like 90% rewrite it. So if
Hmm.
you're, it's a good thing because I think it's going to protect a lot of our creative jobs in with the bigger companies who need to copyright their scripts or their commercials or whatever. And it's a good thing for us little people who maybe we don't need to copyright our Instagram captions, so it's very helpful. But yeah, everything you should And ChatGPT lies too. It hallucinates. And Claudebot, it hallucinates. So definitely go over it with a human touch. And your sparkle. It's still your
Yeah.
personality and yeah.
Yeah, and I love that like it lies. It's a computer and it scrapes the internet. So it could pull information that is inaccurate. So you as the thought leader, as the expert in your field, you've got to do your diligence and edit. But I find that editing is a different muscle in our brain than creating. And so it doesn't maybe take as much energy to edit as it does to
Absolutely.
start from scratch.
Absolutely. And even just brainstorming. So I have this convo with my friend about we don't want ChatGPT to take over everything because like it plans my daughter's birthday party, it writes email, like it does everything. So we always say, what can you take back for just yourself? So I don't let it write my emails, my weekly emails. I write my weekly emails. And I think it's important just to again have that creativity and not use everything for ChatGPT because people can tell also we're getting smarter. Like I know as soon as someone says unlock the potential, I'm like, okay, they use ChatGPT. ChatGPT loves unlock. Like there's certain things. So it's definitely there's a fine balance where ChatGPT is almost great for brainstorming and being your assistant that way. But we still, like you said, we're still the thought leaders. We're still the CEOs of our company. We still need to lead the way and put our sparkle in and put our personality into our content, especially with so many robots and so much AI. I think the more you can think outside the box and be like, well, what can't AI do? AI can't do a video like this, a conversation like this. So how can you show up by doing a video? Maybe you could get an idea from ChatGPT for the video, but go live or do a video. Like it's very hard. I know there's voice replications, but it's very hard to replicate the emotion, the facial expression. So how can you use ChatGPT to facilitate a video to stand out from AI?
Mhm.
That's what I'm always trying to think about.
Yeah, and as we get into this, mass of content that is coming down the pipeline from people using AI, knowing that video is something that like it cannot replicate you responding to another human, you being a human on video. So all the more reason to be doing long form content in either podcast or video format because even if they're just short little videos that you keep on your website, like let's say you're a realtor and you want to talk about like the 5 things that somebody needs to know before it's time to list their house, record a video of yourself saying that and put it on your website.
Yes, yes, exactly. Anything that you think maybe you were going to do a caption on, just do a video.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think
for
that
sure.
Instagram is kind of, and the other social platforms are catching up and they know that because now you can reply to a comment instead of text, you can reply as a reel. And so they're kind of realizing, oh, the bots are replying um, as text. So how can we again humanize this app? How can we humanize connection? So if you can start replying as a reel, and you can ask ChatGPT, ask AI, hey, I want to reply to this comment. What's a 15-second script that I can use? And then
Mhm.
ad lib that script. So it's a really great bouncing board. It's a great brainstormer. It's a great assistant. But you're special. That's what makes your business you. So don't
Yeah,
forget
and
about it.
it's okay to have those brainstorming bullet points up on your screen as you work through things. Like that's totally fine. It's just kind of a framework then for you to work through, but your personality is going to shine through the things that you're going to say. The other thing that I love to do is when you start to use these AI tools is to your point you said, I write my emails myself. Like take some copy that you have written and say, I wrote this. Please analyze my tone. Now
Yes.
use that tone going forward.
Yes. I will often I will often give it inspiration of a writer I love. I will give it emails that I've written and I will give it Instagram posts. So it ends up being like 3 or 4 prompts before I get to the actual question that I want it to do because I want it to analyze my writing style. So yeah, it's neat that it can do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's almost like a yeah, it does save a lot of time. I love that it can analyze things like that.
Yeah, and so okay, so let's talk about the time saving because I think we get overwhelmed and like I have to learn a new thing. And so once we get past the initial I learned it, I know how it works. I know what the best practices are. From there, like, how do you even decide what to work on or like what to give it? Like you were even saying, like it can be a copywriter, it can be your CEO, it can be your personal assistant. Like, how do you even kind of make those decisions of like, what am I going to sit down and work on today when you realize, oh my gosh, it could do so much?
Ruthie, I use it for everything. Like I was like, how much should we be feeding the baby? What should she be doing right now? She's 6 weeks old. I'll ask ChatGPT that. Like I've just kind of trained myself now. So I'll sit down, I'll look at my to-do list and be like, okay, I need to do this Facebook ad copy. I need a creative idea for this Facebook ad. I need to do a quarter plan. And like I will set up a different chat for each of these to-do lists and I will work through it with ChatGPT to get the problem done. And it's just it's it's not that ChatGPT is doing the work for me, but it's not that it's taking everything off my plate. It's just doing it in probably like a quarter of the time. So instead of me taking 2 weeks to write my quarterly marketing plan, maybe it takes me a day now.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of taking a week to write the Facebook ads, I've already, done all the research on my client. I can input that research and say, hey, this is the target audience. This is the angle I'm thinking. What Facebook ad do you think I should write? Which copy? I want it in the ADA style. I want it in the PAS style. And it'll spit out ideas for me. And now I can give my clients, instead of three copies for their Facebook ads, I can give them 10 pieces of copy. And I can do
Mm-hmm.
it in a day instead of 2 weeks. So it's really shortening the time because I'm able to give it the prompts faster. I know what needs to get done. And then it can input, 45 seconds and it gives me a Facebook ad instead of me thinking about it, sitting there, writing it, hiring an outside copywriter, filling them in on the research that I've done, the angle that I want to spend. Um, so it really speeds up time that way. Like amazing. And even writing scripts for TikTok, even if I don't use, I'm like, oh, this is a little cheesy. I'll say, hey, this is cheesy. Can you make it a little more friendly, like I'm talking to my best friend? So it's really like huge time saver. I've gone from 5-day work weeks to 4-day work weeks, and every Friday I get to take off with my
Yeah.
daughter, which is amazing.
So one of the things that you said was the research. And I think that kind of goes back to those foundational things in terms of what is the problem that you solve? Who is your ideal client? What are you struggling with? Those are the things that like you have to be able to go in and tell it initially. And I think a lot of times what I see business owners struggle with who are super experienced in their field is that they don't remember what it feels like to be new. They don't remember what it feels like to not know. And so even asking ChatGPT questions about like what questions would a potential client have about this offer? Like that can open your eyes to so many things.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we've actually used it. So we'll take like if you have Google reviews, if you have 25 Google reviews, we'll copy and paste all the Google reviews or even reviews from your website, and we'll ask ChatGPT, what was the common reason why people bought this product? And
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can't analyze 50, 100, 25 reviews, or maybe they'll catch something else. And so, yeah, just asking ChatGPT, who do you think wrote these reviews? How old do you think they were? Like trying to suss out, maybe I'm wrong about my target audience. Let's analyze the reviews. So yeah, knowing again those foundations, the questions to ask, and just giving it information and drilling down. Sometimes I run a community for marketing with AI, and some of the questions they'll ask me, I'll be like, oh, just ask ChatGPT. Like, I know you want to ask me, and we're used to asking other humans, but that's a great question to ask ChatGPT. They'll ask me, hey, do you think I should use this lead magnet or this lead magnet for my sales funnel? I'll say, like, why don't you ask ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT your target audience, what your website is, and ask its opinion. And ChatGPT does a really nice job analyzing, I think, based on your target audience, that your audience loves Taylor Swift, I think you should go with this lead magnet. Like it does
Yeah.
a really great job of analyzing. And so if we remember to ask it any kind of question that we would ask our peers, it's a very helpful sounding board.
Yeah. So if I'm a solopreneur and I'm wearing all the hats, I'm juggling all the things, which is most of our listeners are, and I'm dabbling in ChatGPT, I'm using it a little bit here and there. What's one more step that you would recommend somebody take today to get more efficient and get more time back with AI?
Okay, I know it sounds like I'm plugging my own community, but I would say join a community that is, and I'm part of three other paid communities as well. One is very techy with AI, one is just for mid-journey image, and you learn from everyone else. AI is so new, and I don't think there are experts out there yet, unless you've been working in a lab with AI for years and years and years, and they're probably not entrepreneurs in business. And so I think joining a community and just being like, oh my God, that's such a good idea for that mid-journey prompt, or oh wow, I never thought that you could use an Excel spreadsheet with ChatGPT in that way. So like I'm part of communities. I have a small business entrepreneur AI community for marketing. And really I think we just got to learn from each other right now. And it's really cool. Some of our members, like, I didn't even think of this, but one woman is using Midjourney, which is an image generator, for patterns and to see what she should do for patterns for her dresses. Another member used ChatGPT with Excel to create this amazing social caption for a lead magnet. And we were all just like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And he used Zapier, ChatGPT, and we were like, we never would have thought of that. So everyone's kind of sharing their what they've done, and then other people are leveraging that. So I honestly, I really think you got to join a community.
Yeah, that's such good advice. And I know we talk a lot on this podcast that, community over competition and collaboration and community are really the needle movers. And to your point, like this is so new and changing so fast that a book or a course is just not going to do it for you. Like, and maybe in the community, you're not going to get super in depth background knowledge, but you don't need that. You need to like try something, see if it works, try something, see if it works.
Yes, and I think you still need to keep signing up for marketing courses or sales courses or whatever your weakness is to learn those foundations. Then take what you've learned in the community with the prompts or your prompt playbook. We have a prompt playbook in the community, and then take those foundationals, those questions that are in that course, that marketing course, that sales course, whatever, that website course, and then you can put them into ChatGPT. But that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like, oh, ChatGPT sucks. Like it doesn't even input anything. I'm like, no, 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 back it up, back it up. It's like a calculator. If you don't know to do 2 plus 2, it's not going to spit out 4. So you really need to know the input or the equation to put into ChatGPT before you can get an awesome prompt back.
Yeah, and I even think about from like a copywriter or a creative person, if you're hiring them to work for your company, they're not going to capture all the nuance and the tone and the brand story and all those things for your brand on day one. They need to be able to read your brand guide. They need to know your mission, vision, values. They need to know the history and how you got to where you were and all of those things. And it takes time to learn
Hmm.
those things. Now, AI is going to learn it a lot faster, but you got to tell it.
Yes, exactly. You have to take time and you have to say, hey, don't start generating a response. I'm going to upload 5 more prompts. I'm going to upload my brand guide. I'm going to upload words I would never use. I'm going to upload my style of writing. I'm going to upload, my mission statement, everything. So yeah, you need all of those. And a lot of business owners, we skip that. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, you need that before. And I think that's why people get frustrated with ChatGPT.
Yes, and those things I know because I help people with this. It's hard to get those things out of your brain and on paper in language that somebody else understands. And that's why sometimes working with a coach or a marketing strategist can help you take all those things in your brain and put language to them.
Yes, exactly. Like I even went out and bought, I didn't have the language for a lot of like I've forgotten the difference between a metaphor, a simile, an analogy, like all these different, and you need those to make amazing captions or amazing storytelling. And so I went out and bought an English definition book to learn all these different terminologies, and it's just been crazy just knowing the different words, the prompts, and the responses you get out. So it's really about knowing. even certain words and
Yeah.
certain
I know
strategies.
that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I love Brene Brown is like she talks about like she helps you put language to feelings. And it's so funny. I have an 8-year-old and we were just talking the other day about like him struggling with school, this and that, whatever. But I said something about like feelings and I said, "You know, buddy, there's more than 3 feelings, like happy, sad, angry. There's way more than 3. Like, do you know how many there actually are?" And he's like, "No." And I said, "Well, mommy has this book that Brene Brown wrote that has 87 different feelings." And he was like, 87? But as we're having this conversation, like I'm even thinking about from like a marketing perspective, being able to tell ChatGPT what your ideal client is feeling, what they want to feel in really specific language.
And at different points in your funnel. When they're at the
Yeah.
top of the funnel, they're feeling something completely different. The middle of the funnel, you're going to be showing them social proof, you're going to be showing them testimonials. They're feeling something different too. Maybe they're super close to being pushed over the edge. The bottom of the funnel, okay, they're hot, they're warm, they've stuck with you, they're feeling something and really push on that pain point maybe. Like, yeah, so knowing the feelings at the different stages. And so you do have to have that background and mark it out and look at it, and then once you kind of do the foundational work and you have your marketing plan and you've got your mind map and everything, it is easy to prompt afterwards. So I think the beginning setup is overwhelming for people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's great to work with a coach or a marketing strategist to get that beginning set up and then go to town with your prompts and using ChatGPT as your digital. I always like to think of how would you explain what you want done if it was a real marketing director. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
have all your ducks in a row before you can even hire a marketing director. They can't come in cold to your business without knowing your funnel, your target audience, your everything. And so ChatGPT, it's not fair to just be like, okay, ChatGPT sucks. So think of anything that you would say to a marketing director, you have to be able to say to ChatGPT. And so having all of that foundation, all of that hard setup work at the beginning is kind of
Mm-hmm.
key before you can use ChatGPT the right way. Of course, people are saying, hey, give me an Instagram post. I'm a fitness coach. It's so generic. They're getting generic captions back. They're not getting good outputs. ChatGPT is way more powerful. And I think a lot of people aren't utilizing it the way it should be because they don't have that foundation set up beforehand and they don't know how to prompt properly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true. And if marketing is something that you're like, okay, I know, I need to be doing this, but it's not my zone of genius. I don't love it. I just want to outsource. You still have to know the foundations. Because if you don't, you're going to make the wrong hire, whether it's a robot hire or a human hire.
Yes, I say that with Facebook ads too. I'm like, have you taken a course to understand Facebook ads? A lot of the times people come to me and they've been burned by these big agencies who pass them from ad manager to ad manager. And I'm like, oh, I just wish that you knew a little bit about Facebook and Instagram ads so that you could have stopped them when they spent $500 and you didn't get any leads. So
Yes.
knowing, I think a good business owner knows a little bit about every single thing so that they can make the right hire. They can stop things. They can push things forward. You don't have to be an expert at it, but you should know. Just don't outsource cold. I think that's
Yes, yes.
always
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. All right. Well, this was such a great conversation. Really awesome things to think about, ways to help you in your business. Before we wrap up, I have a couple just kind of get to know you questions that I would love to ask. We ask all our guests, and we've talked a little bit about branding today and your brand values and mission and vision and all of that. I would love to know what's one of your brand values and how did you land on that?
okay. Great question. One of my brand values is probably I'm really honest, and I think I'm a pretty blunt person in real life. And so people are often, I'll get off sales call and they'll be like, thanks so much for being honest with me because a lot of people are maybe would take their money and whereas I'm like, oh, you're too green. And honestly, I do not want to waste. I've been a small business owner. I know how every penny can help or not help you. And I never want to waste someone's money. So honestly, being so honest with my clients to the point where I try to soften the blow maybe, but I'm honest. Honesty is one of my brand values. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. All right. And then knowing that one of my brand values is personal development and living with a growth mindset, I do always love to ask our guests, what is a favorite personal development book or podcast that you would recommend?
Okay, I saw this question and I was like, oh, she's going to kill me. But I actually I just read blogs, I scour the internet, I watch YouTubes and TikToks. I'm a voracious reader, but it's all pleasure. It's all mythical witches. I'm a magical reader. I like to escape reality. I've got two kids, they're little. I've got a busy business. I need to escape sometimes. So
Yeah,
read a lot of
I love
personal
it. I love
development.
it. So if you're going to learn, you're looking at blogs, you're looking at YouTube tutorials, which is exactly why we talked about long form content is so incredibly important.
Yes. Yeah, or I will listen to, I love podcasts. Oh my gosh, you can put them on while you're playing with your kids. So podcasts I listen to, I keep my books for escaping, and I love podcasts and blogs to further my education. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What's a podcast that you've been loving lately?
I always go back to, oh my gosh, I'm having a mom brain, Girl Boss. I always
Oh,
go back to them. Yeah, always. But really, I've gotten into like a lot of littler podcasts. Like a lot of people are coming up. Um, Jenna, oh my gosh, Jenna on social media. I can't remember. She just launched one, The Shiny. I love listening to hers because they're 10-minute little clips. Um,
hmm,
and yeah, so I've been listening to like a lot of indie podcasts, I guess you can say, instead of the mainstream ones too.
yes, I love it.
I'm
That's awesome. All right. And then our last question, because we are all about consistency here, and I will have to remind you, just like I remind all my clients and listeners, is that consistent doesn't have to mean constant. But I'd love to know something you're really consistent with, either in your business or your personal life that you're really proud of.
I okay, I can do two things. One, in my business, I send emails weekly and I love writing them. I tell stories in them, and that is my creative outlet. So I'm very consistent with my emails and I get a lot of nice feedback on them. So I feel like I have nice email subscribers. And in my personal life, since AI has come out, I am consistently working out now. That Peloton is getting used. So it's been really nice.
Yes, that's
Consistent.
awesome. I need to ask ChatGPT to remind me to go work out when I sit down to ask it questions.
And I
But
asked
please,
that, ask it for a
please tell me
fitness
to go work
routine.
out.
I asked it for
I
a little pump sometimes. Do I have to
Yes,
work
for
out?
sure.
And it'll tell me.
For sure. I love it. Well, Hattie, this was such a fun conversation. If our listeners are interested in learning more, connecting with you, where are you hanging out online and how can they find out more about working with you?
Yeah, my website is funstansmarketing.com, but I love Instagram. I know a lot of people complain about it, but I'm a pretty outgoing person and I post to stories a lot, do my life, and yeah, Instagram at Funstans is my Instagram.
Yes, I love it too. I will link everything in the show notes. And again,
Thanks for
thank you
having
so
me.
much for
So
being
fun.
here.